Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things. For folks living in San Diego County, glad to have a return appearance from Alex White. She's the executive director and co-founder of Produce Good. How you doing there, Alex?
I'm doing great. How are you, Drew?
Nice to see you again. Joined by my guest co-host, Jason Nitz. He's the Dean of School Culture for Cristo Rey San Diego High School, and he's been hitting it out of the park. He doesn't realize he'll be doing regular hosting jobs effective the rest of his career. So,
I love that.
You enjoying this?
I'm loving it, and I'm loving all the positive feedback.
Yeah, well, you're a natural on this here. I know you got a question right out of the gate for Alex.
Yeah, so Alex, can you tell us a little bit about the mission of your organization?
I sure can. We are a food recovery organization. We're recovering citrus from backyards and produce from farms, farmers markets, and food retailers to feed the 1 in 4 San Diegans who are struggling to access food or struggling with food scarcity. And we're really kind of moving that mission these days into one of real intentionality, trying to reach people in neighborhoods where they live with that fresh fruit and vegetable bounty that they very much need.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think what is amazing about this, you live in this space, and of course, then we'll have our friends on, Casey Castillo, from the food bank who well, and, Feeding San Diego. The fact that people have no clue that there's 850,000 folks living in San Diego County that can be considered food insecure, at least for 3 meals a day, is mind-boggling to most folks. I know the number because you come in and Casey comes in and so forth. How many people are just shocked by that number? Like everybody?
I think many people live in a secure world and it's difficult for them to really see what's happening. And I think those of us who are seeing this are realizing it's becoming more and more desperate. I mean, people are being snatched from their vehicles and separated from their families, and the situation, becomes more and more dire. I don't know, Drew. I feel like sometimes I think it's really hard to look at what's happening. And I think a show like this one is so great because it's really shining a light on
100%.
Reality of what's happening.
Well, we can't shine a light on it enough. And then, introduce what you're doing. Jason, have you heard of Produce Good before?
I never have, but it sounds amazing. Fascinating.
And the students at Cristo Rey San Diego High School, besides the fact that they've got a great model, every one of the kids spend 1 week at a business working.
I love that.
It is phenomenal. But they're also community oriented and so forth, and especially with the food insecurity. And I love the fact that that's what you guys do. And how much food do you capture? Tonnage you capture a year?
I mean, we're doing about 500,000 pounds a year, which is about 1.5 servings of fresh fruit and vegetables.
Wow.
But that 40% of food being wasted, that number is really not coming down. I mean, sometimes someone will say, we're seeing less food waste. I think more people are collecting what is excess and edible, but that number of pounds that's not being consumed is not coming down.
Now, how do we get that number down? Is it just getting more businesses to be intentional about it, or just small farms, or all of the above?
I think everyone's intentionality is a big part of that, which goes back to that first question you asked.
Right.
It's one thing to check a box and say, yes, we're in compliance. We're a retailer and we're donating 20% of what we can't sell. But to really think about why you're doing that and who you're benefiting in your own community, I think that really is the change. And I think we all need to be doing our part, wherever we're sitting, in the community.
Well, certainly goes by was something we always talk about on our Spotlight show and have for about 20 years when they get shocked by the number of folks who are food insecure. I said, don't forget that many of those folks who are food insecure also have never been to the beach, have never been to the mountains, have never been to a lake. And they go, how's that possible? It's possible. And so I think, to your point, Alex, we got to keep on talking about it. And you folks have always been on top of the game with nutritious food. Okay, talk about how important that is.
Yeah, I mean, one orange provides all the vitamin C a person needs for one day. So, a single citrus tree, 250 pounds, that's enough vitamin C for 250 people. We can't be letting that go to waste.
Yeah, exactly. No, you guys have been doing this for how long?
11 years.
Right. So it's 11 years ago. You're jumping into this, as one of the co-founders. What have you seen in the 11 years that you've been doing this?
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing I have seen is thousands of people just like us who want to get out there every day and create change to make our community stronger. I think that's the thing that just resonates with me over and over again, how willing and capable and able people are to. And, in this moment in time, the strength of our region, the love people have for the region as a whole, and the willingness to get out and do what needs to be done, it's a scary time, but it's also inspiring to see that happening.
Well, listen, it's amazing when you actually row in the same direction, how fast you get to where you need to go. What a shock that is. But it's the simple things that we tend, to not do and all that business. How many other folks are in the same space you are?
Oh gosh, hundreds. I mean, we have a large, diverse food system. We have supplied produce to over 100 different feeding, partners, whether they're resource centers or they're pantries or they're food banks or they're after-school programs or their schools. I think, and all of those, entities are playing some part in the system. And then there's so much adjacent to that, all the growers, the farmers, those that are donating the excess. And so, I mean, just hundreds, maybe over 1,000.
Yeah, well, it is so meaningful. I certainly think you can, I know you're a metrics person, which is great. And you need to be in this aspect because you can actually track all this. We're talking to Alex White. She's the executive director and co-founder of Produce Good. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. And listen to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in the classroom, joined by my guest co-host, Jason Nitz, Dean of School Culture for Cristo Rey San Diego High School. Jason, we've talked about it in some of the other shows you've done today here, that, the population of your student can be challenging, correct, for them, correct?
Yeah, they experience a lot of challenges. A lot of challenges as far as like affordable education or access to college, access to kind of what you described. I think it's a universal issue, but just like lack of experiences, right? Like,
right. Do they experience food insecurity or not necessarily?
Some parts of our population, suffer from food insecurity. I don't know how many or the exact numbers of that, but that's something I have experienced in my time there.
And one of the things that Alex knows this all so well, and her colleague, Casey Castillo brings it up. So many of the kids, their only meal is Monday through Friday. Mm-hmm. And then they come home and whatever they ate on Friday has got to take them through the weekend in that aspect of it. Talk about that, Alex. Besides being shocking and sad and all that business. I
mean, when what's affordable has no nutritional value whatsoever, and again, these are our own neighbors, it's not an acceptable situation. And when you're simultaneously wasting 40% of what you produce and you're living in the state that produces the most amount of fresh fruit and vegetables in the whole country, it's just not working. And Drew, you even brought up this point about the transportation. I mean, I don't think people realize. I mean, we are working in neighborhoods where folks don't even leave their neighborhood. I mean, especially not now, but they don't have the transportation to really get out of that neighborhood. There isn't good public transit. So all of these efforts to make the economy more functional and to make it stronger by, making sure that people can access the fresh produce, that they have the transport they need to get to where they need to go or it's coming to them. I mean, this is all part of the infrastructure, and we need to be, looking at this whole situation holistically.
Right. Now, do you work with our elected officials on this, our congressmen and women?
Yes, and they are so supportive.
They are.
Certainly, environment is one and the same with, social justice and social equity. It's all part of the same, Dean of Culture. I mean, again, this is where we live. It's where we share. It's this place that we're inhabiting together. Mm-hmm. I think that's what it's all about. And I believe our elected officials are, very aligned to that. And what I love is I think, it's very, when it comes to feeding people, it's very nonpartisan.
It should be.
Everyone believes that people should be able to access the food that they need to live a healthy life, to if they're children, to have good, strong childhood development and to prevent disease if, they're on the older, well, for everyone. I mean, so that's the good news.
Yeah. Well, listen, and it should be when we come back from break, Alex, we'll talk more about that. Some of the great success stories you can sell. We probably can talk about that for 7 hours. Some of the challenges, as you mentioned before. And since you've been on the show before, we always save some time at the second segment. What can our listeners do to support your efforts when we return with Alex White, Executive Director and co-founder of Produce Good? I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my guest co-host, Jason Nitz, Dean of School Culture at Cristo Rey San Diego High School. We will be right back after this short message.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest running community podcast. Very proud of that. In our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades, just doing great things in the community. So pleased to have back in the studio a return appearance by Alex White, Executive Director and co-founder of Produce Good. So good to see you again, Alex, and honored to have as my guest co-host Jason Nitz, Dean of School Culture for Cristo Rey San Diego High School. Jason, I know you have another question for Alex.
I do, yeah. So, could you tell us maybe a story about your experience with food insecurity and with your organization that really touches you or inspires you or brings you joy?
I mean, I think there are so many stories. It's difficult to really, tap into one in particular, to be honest. But when we are, let's say we're going to a community event and we're coming in and we're bringing this fresh bounty, which, folks recognize us. They know what we have. They know it's fresh. They can't wait to get their hands on it. So, when you have the kids running up and you see the excitement and, people feel seen, I think, in those moments where something that maybe is so difficult to obtain is there. I think that's why we do what we do. And I hear it from volunteers all the time. I mean, just last week, our board president was making a drop at a Boys and Girls Club in North County, one of the clubs. And, he was dropping off some fruit, and the person who was working there, just came out and said, this is so great. I mean, it's just in time where we have these bag lunches that are going out. These are going right into those, and you just have no idea how much we appreciate having access to this. It's just community feeding community. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think with each one of these success stories, and let's talk a little bit about volunteerism. We all know that doesn't make a difference if it's 1 hour a week. We'll take 1 hour a week. Maybe it's 2 hours the next week, or contributions, and talk about how do the volunteers work in your world, or do they?
I mean, we couldn't do what we do without volunteers. Yeah. We have thousands of volunteers. It takes at least 1,500 of them to really, help us conduct our 900 to 1,000 food recovery events a year. They are so committed and so invested in making change. And, they work at their own, or serve at their own pace, in a way that works for their lives. Our retired, especially newly retired volunteers are just phenomenal. I mean, it's almost like they're running a little business. They may be a volunteer boss. They're going out every week. Other folks are meeting up with them to volunteer. They pick up the equipment. They send the data back into us. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, you've set up something, obviously, there's a science to being a good organization that really works well with volunteers because it's organized. People work at their own pace. It's not a goat rodeo. They know where they can find stuff and all that business. And there's a lot of truth to that. We talked earlier about this, Jason, because your kids do a bunch of volunteering, do they not?
Yeah, they do a ton of volunteering. And honestly, the thing I think is really cool is like when we talk about volunteering or when we talk about giving more opportunities, it's always coming from students. Like they very much care about their community. They very much care about food insecurity.
Yeah, and I think when it comes from that, and we all know this, if you're interested in this, no matter what it is, it sounds like an obvious statement, but sometimes it's missed on people, you will excel. You will raise it to a different level just because of your interest in X, Y, and Z. I imagine, because of the way you guys run your business so well, Alex, that those 1,500 volunteers, they've been doing this for a while.
Many of them, I'd say, a good 30%.
Wow.
Are regular volunteers that are coming out all the time. I mean, weekend after weekend, week after week. And, I think the duality of our mission, because we are reducing food waste, which is good for the environment, and we are feeding people, which is good for community. I think it just really appeals to people. I mean, waste is not something that most folks want to see. So right. I think they're really drawn to come out and, they get creative and, we try to allow for that. They have better ideas than we do. And, hey, if it's going to work, let's make it happen. So I think that feels good. Like they're contributing in the way they want to, in the way that makes them feel good.
Right. Are there other produce good-like businesses in other parts of California or around the country? I
mean, even right here, Senior Gleaners, there's a backyard gleaning program up in Poway. A lot of the organizations that are feeding people are also doing some version of food recovery. So, and there are hundreds in California. We are part of the California Food Recovery Coalition. Right. And, we all meet on a quarterly basis to kind of talk about the state of food recovery. And then that extends into across the U.S. as well. So with all this waste, there are a lot of organizations out here doing what we're doing.
Right. So you add that to the cuts in SNAP and in Medicare, and that is a recipe for not good stuff.
No, but I am grateful that we have the ability to access this excess
right.
in this moment.
Right.
And I think that's why I'm just so motivated to do what we're doing even better. And, just last week, a grower that we worked with all last year, I received a communication, that some sort of sadness and had been just expressed about what's been happening. And it occurred to this person suddenly that this orchard that they have on their property, that taking care of that and having this opportunity to be the champion of that orchard so that they could keep donating and keep moving this food into the food system where it's so desperately needed. It was like a light bulb came on for her that even went beyond, the early donation and really like seeing herself as the steward of this property, which, back to the intentionality we were talking about. This is amazing. This is what we need in this moment.
Well, and when you think about it, when you ask someone to volunteer, okay, in this area, and you laid it out beautiful for them, or they donate, $1 is fine. No one's going to turn down Bill Gates money or whatever the case may be. But we want to get you engaged. And then something that we say quite a bit on this show, have been for 20 years, is just get engaged. Yeah. It doesn't make a difference at what level to start. And just get engaged. And when people do that, and then the satisfaction your 1,500 volunteers have, it's absolutely terrific on this. Do you see an opportunity? I'm always putting Jason on the spot here. Mm-hmm. The Cristo Rey San Diego High School students working with Produce Good?
Absolutely. I mean, they would definitely be interested in doing that. One thing that I think is really interesting is you're kind of describing. One thing that we say at our school is we want to be a transformative education. That's kind of what we want to offer our students. We're very much a college preparatory school. We want students to have access to what a lot of people consider a transformative time of their life, which is the American college education system, a 4-year university. So I do see a lot of parallels there with you're describing the transformative experience of having a really nice piece of fruit.
Yeah.
And being able to provide people with that, and then volunteering as well, right? If that means our students are volunteering or our students are learning, having a transformative experience with something that's important to them, that's what it's all about in the end, right?
And how about your kids seeing something there's a mobile home estates in Oceanside, Rancho San Luis Rey, and every Thursday, you have a group of about 20 folks in that community who come together and they put on a free market right in their clubhouse, and they invite the members of the community that really need access to that to come out. And, so it's even the organizing of that. Your students can come mini organizers. They can organize, cleanups in their own neighborhoods or in groups of neighborhoods, or, hey, let's all do it on the same day. We'll find, we'll reach out to Casey at the food bank, or we'll reach out to Produce Good. We'll find someone who can come and pick it up and take it. If we can loan the equipment. I mean, I think there are so many, there's a big entrepreneurial aspect to volunteerism. And I think young people gravitate toward that, the kind of change they can make locally. And there's so much opportunity, especially in this moment. So, I'd love to talk about that.
That'd be great. Yeah, we could do that off air.
Yeah, I think we got your number down here, Alex, and all. And I got a good feeling that Jason will be following through on that. What's the website? What else can we do to support you?
www.producegood.org. I think, again, volunteers coming out to volunteer. If it's not for us, please have it be for somebody. But we would love to have anyone who wants to come out. We have a lot of different programs: backyard gleaning, farmers market gleaning, farmer pickups, drivers, food droppers. I mean, there's a lot of different things we're doing. So, suits people of all ages and abilities. Of course, we always appreciate a donation.
Of course.
And just, also just great ideas. You want to come out and help the organization on the inside? No shortage of work there. We're just, the demand is picking up every day.
So promise me you'll make a return appearance, and you will. Okay, and that sounded a little bit about voluntold, didn't it? But would love to have you come next time with a couple of your volunteers.
I need to. I said I would do that last time. We'll make it happen.
Right, and so from different areas that they're volunteering. So Joe, and then if it inspires other folks to volunteer in the area of transportation or God knows what, we'll make it happen. Alex White, always good to see you. Your personality is infectious in a very good way, and wishing that you continue this great trajectory, working with people that really have food insecurity needs. And we're look forward to your return appearance after the first of the year.
Thanks to you both. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Alex White. She's Executive Director and Co-Founder of Produce Good. I'm Drew Schlosberg at Cloudcast Media. Listen to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast. In our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing this phenomenal work. And to Jason Nitz, my guest co-host, Dean of the School Culture and Cristo Rey San Diego High School. Hey, I'm very appreciative. I mean, you got a busy enough a day as it is. I know you drink out of a fire hose, but you literally gave up the first half of your day today to do this, and I'm very grateful.
I'm very grateful. I mean, I didn't know that this was such a cool space for giving people a voice that want to make big differences. It's amazing what you do.
Well, we're going to do that, and we're going to look forward to seeing Cristo Rey San Diego High School start their podcast, and we'll be right with you guys shoulder to shoulder.
I love that. And you'll like our students more than me. A lot of them are a little more articulate, a little smarter. Wow. So they're good eggs.
No, you did a great job. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.